They're saying Suno trained on millions of copyrighted songs. So what does that mean for producers using AI? Well, today I'm going to be reacting to this video by a top music attorney, giving us a breakdown on all the changes going on with Suno, copyrights, and what it means for us as music creators. Make sure you stay tuned to the very end of this video because the information you get here could protect you down the line. So without further ado, let's get into it.
The last week has been huge across the board, including in our cases. Specifically, we had a ruling in our Udio class action lawsuit, and the judge saw it our way. And we're very excited because on a pending motion to dismiss, the judge came back, and on our YouTube scraping claim, the judge did not dismiss, and we have a viable claim. That means we are moving forward. And also on our AI output, the infringement of the AI outputs themselves, we are also proceeding on that claim. Now, the main copyright infringement claims weren't even attacked. That's the main focus of what everyone has been suing over. But like I said, outside of our cases, the major record labels have also been duking it out with Suno and Udio, and they had huge updates just happen. So let's start with Suno. The copyright infringement claims just massively escalated. Now, this happened after a year of discovery and trying to get access to this training dataset, and they finally got it. Now, one of the most amazing things about this is in how they got the training and how, in fact, these types of claims against AI music companies are going to be proven. Well, this is how it works. UMG and Sony seek to add over 61,000 recordings to Suno's lawsuit after discovery reveals AI trained on millions of their copyrighted tracks. So in the motion, which was filed in the District of Massachusetts, and this is in front of Judge Dennis Saylor, which is also our judge in the same court. So they filed their motion and they're saying they just got 61,026 works that they are hoping to add into their complaint. Now, what was so interesting is they actually went on to describe how they did this. Let's talk about it. To identify their songs within the training data, the plaintiffs used audible magic, which we've discussed on this channel. It's the fingerprinting technology that is used when you make your AI songs, and when you put it on, let's say, a social media platform, they're tracking you because they have fingerprinted your song.
The interesting thing is for me is that AI, and especially like platforms like Suno and similar ones, their outputs, their music has been sounding really good, especially as I've been testing it out lately. Of course, it's for a reason. It's trained on the real good stuff. And as we can see, it looks like they're possibly getting in trouble due to that. And, you know, these companies definitely want to keep an eye on their product and their intellectual property. So that's one of the main things with platforms, these AI platforms that we're using, is to always remember that there's always that copyright piece that we need to always be aware of. Let's go ahead and get back into the video.
The process requires a two-stage procedure. Stage one, the plaintiff's experts create a digital fingerprint of each of the songs. And that is the songs that are in the actual Suno training dataset. Okay, so the process requires 2 trips to a secure room. So they're like going in person. Okay, so they're going to a secure room at Suno's outside counsel's office, which totals 2 weeks of work. So stage one. Stage two is those fingerprints are then transmitted to Audible Magic to check and match. This is what I've said since the beginning. I go, you use technology to be able to match up with a exact degree of certainty, because in non-AI cases where you're not dealing with a platform like Suno that's generating 7 million songs a day, normally we get experts. We hire people to come in and we go, here's, you know, the original song, here's the infringing or allegedly infringing derivative work, and you have someone listen, right? The musicologist, and they write up a little report. When you're dealing with volume in the way that we are with these cases, well, that's when you tap in technology to help. All right, so the filings describe, you know, they've been duking it out over stage one, and apparently Suno didn't want to give access. And then this is how it works, particularly for us, because we are a class action. We need to be able to identify whose songs were all used. And here's a magical thing about music distribution. There is an ISRC number that is assigned to every single song that is distributed onto music platforms. That's how you identify everyone's songs, and then it's just a matter of going into the training data set to do a comparison. So I do want to discuss Universal in the extent that it went into the training data set for Suno, and it's saying that it identified millions of songs. And by comparison, the far majority of the music on the internet that was allegedly stolen by Suno and Udio in the tens of millions belong to independent music creators.
All right, so guys, I've been saying this, not only are they training on the big catalogs of the music we all know and love, there's also the independent people out there, the people who are, working 9-to-5 day jobs, who are out there grinding, performing, pouring their heart out into their music, and posting it on places like YouTube and other social media networks, because as creators we like to express ourselves. We want to see the reaction of the people to our creative works, and of course we're going to post things online because we want to connect with people. But it looks like in the process, that's being grabbed up and trained by platforms like Suno, and as of right now, it looks like the cat's out the bag. Let's go ahead and get back into the video.
Lawsuits are just so important because otherwise, the far majority of the music that was taken without authorization, that wouldn't otherwise have a remedy, belonged to independent music creators. And this goes to reinforce what we have been saying in our lawsuits for well over 6 months. Now, over in Udio land, Sony has not settled, right? So Warner, Universal, they, settled it out. They decided that, it's better to license. Udio says it's better to license, but Sony has not settled. And so Sony has moved to amend, and it's seeking to add 30,000 songs that were identified in the training data set. But, obviously the biggest thing with Udio is that as part of this settlement, it has this walled garden approach. It is locking the platform. You go on the platform, you use it, you create, but you don't get to take anything off. And that seems to be where the sticking point is on the other side with Suno. Suno doesn't want to play ball. And I just go, at what point, as we are seeing now, some of the music giants, because you know what? Suno's a real big tech company, and it's already valued in the billions of dollars, even as a new startup. And so you have a company like Suno that is competing with a company like Spotify. And Spotify probably doesn't like it. Spotify is probably trying to figure out how to outmaneuver Suno, which is probably why we're seeing all these things about Spotify doing a deal with Universal and licensing, so you can do AI remixing on the platform. And guess what? Look at all the other stuff you can do on the Spotify platform now. They treat it kind of like a social media platform. You can DM and buy tickets, reserve the tickets for live shows. You can do the AI remixing. That's a brand new thing. And so we're kind of looking at this and we go, as this adaption moment is happening, AI is here. Okay, we can all say that, but we go, at the end of the day, is this even good for artists?
That kind of reminds me of platforms like Instagram. Instagram, at one point, they wanted to buy out Snapchat, and then Instagram started to just straight up take some of Snapchat stuff. And it looks like that same thing is happening with platforms like Spotify. They're liking some of the stuff Suno was doing and say, hey, I like what you got going on over there. Let me go ahead and take a little bit of that. So let's go ahead and get back into the video.
AI is here. Okay, we can all say that, but we go, at the end of the day, is this even good for artists? So if we go, look, these companies, most of them seem to be coming to the table and they go, well, market proof. We were just testing it out, making sure we could make our millions and billions of dollars. We confirmed we could, and we're still raising even more money. And so, fine, we'll come back to the table, pay people what they are owed, well, some of them, and move forward. It's a new world. And so I go, well, for the biggest players in the industry who are not going to have this, Universal, the biggest monopoly, not a monopoly, but it really is in the music business, they're not going to stand for this. They're not going to stand for the dilution of their intellectual property that they work so hard to purchase and curate. And then you have a tech company that comes along and says, we're just going to take everything. So hence the lawsuits. So in all of this, what do you do? Well, the metadata piece of what you have, again, the ISRC number, you making sure that you have all this written down somewhere, very important. You going and actually getting your copyright registrations for your music, very important. And even if you use AI in combination with your human-made elements, I even have a training on how to do this and how to make sure that you stay protected. This is how you do that. But in the meantime, you build your own fan channels. Sell before you stream, as I call it. You make sure that for your art, your creation, that you have a way to directly monetize it, because you should always stay in control of your art, because there's a lot of stuff happening right now.
You know, that's the thing with AI. You know, it's something that you can't totally ignore. I definitely see the thought process of people who are 100% anti-AI when it comes to music. And if you've seen a lot of my content, you know I've previously leaned more in that direction. But as Top Music Attorney said, there's ways to, you know, copyright your stuff, even if you're including some AI into your music, you know. And that's the thing that I'm starting to come around to, is using some of it as opposed to just prompting an entire beat, prompting an entire song. I can't get with that. But if there's just little aspects of music creation, music composition, music production that you want to use it on, then I say, you know, have at it. You know, is not screaming at the clouds anymore. You know, just a little bit. That's cool. All right, guys. So let me know what you think. Are you going to use AI in some of your music? What do you think about platforms like Suno and Udio training on independent music artists, you know, composition and music without their permission, without them being compensated? Does that make you feel a certain way? Do you not care? Are you somewhere in the middle? Let me know what you think in the comments. We have to keep this dialogue going. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit like and subscribe. My name is Desmond A, and I'll be back with more great videos. Peace. Wait, before you go, make sure you go to DesmondASounds.com, where you can get free FL Studio Patcher plugins, free loops, free guides, everything you need to level up your music production. Once again, go to DesmondASounds.com or click the link in the description. Go there now and totally transform your music production.